Hey folks, how you doing? Dr. Dan here, Ozark MMJ Cards. Thank you for joining me once again. Wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Today I wanted to dig into the idea of the toxicity of cannabis and what users need to know regarding the danger level of using cannabis products. If they're thinking about starting on a cannabis regimen, what they might be getting into, I guess some of the adverse effects of cannabis with respect to the danger that it might pose to their actual body, the cells in their body. So let's just dig right into it, okay? Firstly, folks, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Share my videos on your favorite social media platforms for those who are curious about everything regarding the science of cannabis, the physiology of what happens when cannabis gets into our bodies, and some of the things that might go not so awesome when we take in cannabis, all right? So let's just get right started. Awesome. So, with regards to the toxicity of cannabis, I want to get into that word toxicity so we can just separate the wheat from the chaff and we can understand exactly what it is that we're talking about here. Okay. So, oftentimes when research articles talk about the toxicity level of cannabis products, these cannabinoids that activate the cannabis receptors inside our bodies, the toxicity that they're referring to usually is that of a psychological nature, not an actual cellular toxicity. I'm gonna compare and contrast those terms, the cellular toxicity versus psychotoxicity. Okay, so when we're referring to psychotoxicity, really what we're referring to is is sort of the impaired motor coordination, the change in mood, the feeling of elation, that sort of thing, with regards to how we're feeling. The psychotoxicity relates to the change in subjective feeling state that someone feels when they administer cannabis products and they activate the endocannabinoid system. So when we're talking about psychotoxicity, we're talking about feelings of anxiety, feelings of internal unrest, paranoia, that sort of thing. Okay. Possibly the increased heart rate that can come with it, which is a symptom, but not necessarily a toxic effect per se, meaning that the cell will die or a series of events, a cascade of events will begin that will ultimately lead to cellular dysfunction and or death. So that's the main thing that I wanted to dig into, because with cannabinoids, which include THC, CBD, which is cannabidiol, CBG, which is cannabigerol, all of these different cannabinoids, these things do not have a toxic cellular effect. And that's really the big take home that I want you guys to get from this particular video, because that's the information that these very dedicated researchers, especially those in Israel, Ralph Meshulam, big up to him, grandfather of the THC molecule. He discovered the structure of THC. Big up to Dr. Meshulam, real trailblazer. What Dr. Meshulam found and his team in Israel found is that, the structure of THC does not lend itself to toxicity of the cell when THC binds its receptor. Okay, these things don't lead to dysregulation of the DNA elements, the genetic structure inside our nuclei, I guess, plural. The THC binding does not lead to irreparable harm of the cell membrane on the outside or the nuclear membrane on the inside that protects the nucleus. Also does not induce damage to any of the cellular organelle structures, the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, which generates our ATP. No damage to that very, very important structure, or the vacuoles and the parts of the cell that are responsible for the housekeeping and getting rid of waste products and transporting intermediates to the cell surface. None of these things are interrupted, okay, when we take in a dose of tetrahydrocannabinol, delta 9. So that's the real take home in this video, that I wanted everyone to just sort of hug up, that from a biochemical toxicity standpoint, cannabis products don't interrupt the regular normal cycling of the cell. Okay, the regular physiologic healthy maintenance of the cell. Cannabis products containing THC don't do anything harmful to those normal physiologic processes. Okay, cannabis doesn't do anything harmful to that. And all of the messaging that was put out before, the pseudoscientific messaging that was put out before during the prohibition era for cannabis, all of that messaging was, we found out, erroneous. Okay, it wasn't based in science. And what happened when we started to get real, actual scientific knowledge pouring in through peer-reviewed articles, we very, very much started to question this idea of what that term toxicity meant and how we could actually really gauge the true, realistic medical utility and danger level of cannabis. Okay, so what we've been able to land on is cannabis is not dangerous. Okay, it's not dangerous to the health of our bodies. The effects that it can produce can, somehow cause a dangerous situation. Say, for example, if someone is under the psychotoxicity of cannabis, where they're having slowed coordination, neuromuscular coordination, and they go and they get behind the wheel of the car, and then they get into an accident, then yes, okay, I could see where cannabis might be implicated with regards to a dangerous situation. Okay, someone take a big old bong rip or 3 old big bong rips or something like that, and they try and juggle some chainsaws. Well, juggling chainsaws, bong rip or not, probably dangerous. Okay, not a good decision. So with respect to things like that, yes, maybe there's the possibility if someone takes too high of a cannabis dose and they're not really engaging their most mindful self, then yeah, maybe there is possibility for dangerous behavior. But dangerous behavior is quite distinct from a biochemical danger in which you take something into your body and it can cause harm, physiologic harm, or things that might lead to death. And that's not the case that we've seen with cannabis, like how we've seen with harder drugs of abuse, vis-a-vis cocaine, opiates, what have you. Okay, so I think it's important to just put it into perspective where in this spectrum where cannabis might lie in terms of danger, actual danger, okay, toxicity. So that's really all I wanted to touch on today, folks. So you can have a little bit of knowledge to move forward with if you've been considering trying cannabis and the reluctance really sat in the danger aspect of what you'd be doing. I really just wanted to quash that and invite you to take a good look, to, check out some of my videos, read up on some stuff. You'll quickly come to find that cannabis has not been implicated itself. The cannabinoids have not been implicated in any in furtherance or exacerbation of any kind of chronic or acute condition. Okay, you see a lot of things coming up regarding worsening of schizophrenia, that sort of thing. While those things are possible, this is all just anecdotal idea type stuff. Okay, a lot of patients in this population, whether they have bipolar disorder, high grade depression, major depression, that sort of thing, cannabis still offers an outlet for those patients. It's just that those patients need to be mindful of their dosing so that they don't put themselves in an awkward place where they're not feeling their best. Okay, so I just wanted to shed some light on that for folks who were wondering, and they could just get a little bit of information on that. Okay, so cool. Listen, folks, weed is fine. All right, that's really the long and short of this. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all have a great Thursday. If we don't talk again until next week, have a wonderful and safe weekend. Treat yourself with love. Treat your neighbor with love. Y'all be good. All right, till next time.